Okay, so in the last video we went into a little bit more detail on the virtual articulator, exactly how it works, how the parameters and the values of the articulator are set, and the importance of the lower model axis. So in this video we're just going to continue with our case here, a crown on tooth number 14, inlay onlay on tooth number 15, and we'll show you exactly how to work the articulator. So at this point the steps are just as normal. We're going to draw our margins on both tooth number 14 and tooth number 15, and also set the insertion axis for tooth number 14 and tooth number 15, and then move forward to the design phase to get our proposal. Okay, so here's our initial proposal for these two teeth. Excellent proposal. One of the things you're going to find with the 4.2 software is that model axis step is extremely important, and it ends up giving you fantastic proposals. So if you set the model axis correctly, it's going to orientate that model in the arch, the buccal, lingual, mesial, distal, in the correct way, and it's going to give you great proposals because insertion axis does not have really much to do with the proposal at all, only the milling axis and to remove the undercuts. So here's our initial proposal. We can go ahead and click on Analyzing Tools to check our contacts. So here's our centric contacts. Okay, so after checking these centric contacts, you'll probably make some adjustments. I'm not going to do that right this minute. We'll go ahead and we'll click on articulation to check our dynamic contacts. So the first time we hit articulation in a case, it's just going to bring up this articulation parameters icon. We'll go ahead and hit this, and it's asking us to verify the articulation parameters. We're not going to make any switches to these 99% of the time, so we'll go ahead and just hit OK. Okay, so once the articulation is configured, we can go ahead and hit Exit Articulator. And now when we hit the articulation, we've got all our different options here to check. The one we're going to look at most often is going to be our occlusal compass. Now if I hit occlusal compass, it's going to bring up all the dynamic interferences that we have. Now if we look here on the left, we have a little table that shows us what these contacts entail. So our occlusion is in red. These are just our centric occlusion spots here. Okay. Now you'll notice if we go back, if we look at these red spots, these are corresponding to these contacts here. Okay, so it's not going to bring in all these different colors and penetration values with the turquoise and the green and the yellow, not an occlusal compass. It's just going to show these penetrations as red. Okay, so we go back to occlusal compass, our occlusions are red. Okay, then we've got protrusion, which we see a little gray here. Mediotrusion, green, we've got a little green here. Lateral protrusion, we've got a whole bunch of lateral interferences. And lateral protrusion, we've got a couple. Okay, so this is going to tell you where your interferences are based on your dynamic function. If you want to visualize how this looks, we can go ahead and do articulation animation. Now this is going to be a good thing maybe for patient education, or if you want to verify something in the mouth. Oftentimes what I'll do is I'll actually image these arches with my articulation paper so I can see. Maybe I'll do the blue occlusion in centric and the red in dynamic, and then you can verify with the animation to see that it's actually functioning the way it should. So now you can get an idea on where that movement right there, that left excursive, is probably where a lot of these interferences are coming. Okay? If you want to look underneath, we always have the option to go ahead, turn off the model box. We can make our restoration transparent, and we'll be able to see exactly where these marks are happening. So this is a little cool function that's going to show us exactly these interferences and where they're occurring and what movement they're occurring with. So that is the articulation animation. Okay, so that shows how these marks were created. Now these lower and upper virtual FGPs, these are functionally generated paths. So if I want to see the extent of the lower functionally generated path on those upper restorations, we can simply click the generated path, okay, which corresponds to where the interferences are made. Okay, so that's the lower moving against the upper, and of course you have the upper. That's the generated path. It doesn't do us as much of a good to look at this one as it does the lower. Okay, so in short, this is how articulation is going to work. The algorithm is very powerful. It pretty much calculates itself. In further videos, I'm going to go through a couple of the different problems that can occur. For instance, if you don't image too much, or if you don't image enough, or perhaps you have some imaging artifacts that can affect the articulation animation. You can see it there. And the other one would be, for instance, if you have not enough information and you have the software calculate these with the initial proposal. So like I said in an earlier video, I prefer not to have these marks taken out in the initial proposal. I like to see these marks and then just adjust them manually. That's just my preference, but it kind of takes away some of the error potential if you just have it do it automatically. In this case, I can actually verify to make sure that those are actually interferences that are there and some mistake was not being made.